Welcome to Herdly, where books turn into 3 stories, refreshing your knowledge in minutes. Today, we listen to Matthew E. Pohl's Find Your Hidden Strengths. Unlock the power of the 4 archetypes for success and personal growth, in which we probe into how your greatest strengths might be your biggest obstacles to success. Matthew E. Pohl is a seasoned entrepreneur who has launched successful startups, including Day Trade for Good, a multi-million-dollar financial coaching business. Don't go away. Herdly the editor will be right back with the story. Today, I'll share 3 captivating stories that illustrate how our strongest traits can sometimes be the very things holding us back. We'll begin with the blinded entrepreneur, move on to the overwhelmed leader, and conclude with the stuck dreamer. Each story reveals a different aspect of how strengths can become barriers if not properly balanced. The blinded entrepreneur. Once, there was an entrepreneur who built his career on an indomitable work ethic. Let's call him Mike. Mike's strength was his relentless drive. He was the first in the office and the last to leave. His commitment was unmatched, and his employees admired his tenacity. However, despite all his efforts, his business plateaued. No matter how hard he pushed, growth stagnated. The harder he worked, the more the business seemed to resist his efforts. One day, a mentor asked Mike a simple yet powerful question. "Why are you working so hard, but seeing so little progress?" Mike, puzzled, couldn't answer. His mentor pointed out that while Mike's work ethic was a strength, it had become a blinder. Mike was so focused on doing everything himself that he didn't see how he was limiting his team's growth and stifling innovation. His refusal to delegate or trust others had become his greatest weakness. The turning point came when Mike finally let go. He began to delegate tasks and empowered his team to make decisions. It wasn't easy at first. He felt as though he was losing control. But soon, he noticed a shift. His business started to grow again, and he found that his strength wasn't in doing everything, but in leading others to excel. As Mike reflected later, "I realized my strength wasn't just about working hard. It was about letting others work hard too." The overwhelmed leader. In another story, we meet Sarah, a leader known for her empathy. She was beloved by her team for her ability to understand and connect with each member on a personal level. Sarah's strength was her compassion, but over time, it became overwhelming. She found herself constantly burdened by the problems of her employees, unable to separate their struggles from her own responsibilities. She was always available, always ready to listen, but the weight of everyone's issues began to take its toll. One day, a significant project fell through, and Sarah realized she had been so consumed by her team's personal issues that she had lost sight of the larger picture. The company's goals had taken a back seat to her desire to be there for everyone. A close colleague finally told her, "Sarah, your compassion is admirable, but it's drowning you. You need to focus on leading, not just empathizing." This was a hard pill to swallow. Sarah's compassion was her pride, yet it was also her downfall. She decided to make a change. She set boundaries, learned to say no, and focused on guiding her team to solve their own problems rather than solving them herself. This shift allowed her to reclaim her strength in a more balanced way. Sarah's leadership flourished, and her team respected her even more, not just for her empathy, but for her strength in steering the company forward. As she later remarked, "I had to learn that leadership isn't just about feeling, it's about making tough decisions that benefit everyone." The stuck dreamer. Lastly, let's talk about Jason, a brilliant thinker who was always full of ideas. His strength was his creativity. He could envision possibilities that others couldn't even dream of. However, Jason's creativity became his prison. He spent so much time dreaming and planning that he never took action. His notebooks were filled with groundbreaking ideas, but none of them ever saw the light of day. One evening, Jason shared his latest concept with a friend who listened patiently before asking, "So, when are you going to start?" Jason laughed nervously, saying he was still perfecting the plan. His friend responded, "You've been perfecting for years, but perfection doesn't create success. Action does." This conversation hit Jason hard. He realized that his endless pursuit of the perfect idea was actually a form of fear. He was afraid of failure, so he stayed in the safety of his thoughts, never risking anything. But ideas without action are just dreams. Determined to change, Jason decided to take the plunge. He picked one idea, just one, and committed to bringing it to life. It was far from perfect, but it was real. And in the process, he learned that the true value of creativity is in its execution, not just in its conception. Jason reflected, "I used to think my strength was in coming up with ideas, but now I know it's in making those ideas happen." Conclusion. These stories show us that what we often see as our greatest strengths can become our biggest obstacles, if not balanced with other qualities. Mike's relentless work ethic, Sarah's deep compassion, and Jason's boundless creativity were all double-edged swords. They each had to learn the hard way that a strength, when overextended, can turn into a weakness. The key lies in recognizing when our strengths are holding us back and having the courage to adjust. As the editor of Herdley, by understanding these lessons, we can ensure that our strengths propel us forward rather than anchor us to the past, ultimately paving the way for a future where we achieve our goals with wisdom and balance. In wrapping up our exploration of how our greatest strengths can become our biggest obstacles, let's revisit the key idea through another compelling story, one that underscores the importance of balancing our innate abilities with self-awareness. Consider Rachel, a top sales executive who excelled because of her persuasive communication skills. Her strength was her ability to talk to anyone and close deals effortlessly. However, Rachel's gift for communication gradually became a hindrance. She dominated conversations, often overpowering clients, instead of listening to their needs. Her sales started to decline, and she couldn't understand why. During a crucial meeting, a potential client stopped Rachel mid-pitch and said, "You're not hearing me. You're so busy selling that you're not listening to what I actually need." This moment was a wake-up call. Rachel realized that her strength in speaking had silenced her ability to listen, which was equally crucial in her role. She made a conscious effort to listen more and speak less. The results were immediate. Her clients felt heard, and her sales numbers rebounded. Rachel reflected, "I learned that being a great communicator isn't just about talking, it's about listening too." This story reinforces our critical point. Strengths, when unchecked, can limit our success. By recognizing when our strengths are working against us, we can adjust, grow, and ultimately achieve greater success. As the editor of Herdley, through learning these lessons, we can become more adaptable, using our strengths as tools rather than letting them become our limitations, ensuring a more balanced and successful future.